Now, it feels like with all the responsibilities and everything that's going on in the world, the scariest thing to do is to become a parent. And even more scary, to become a father. Fathers are getting such a bad flack, as we said, because of history and how history has been set up. It looks like fathers are the most, it's been made to look like, I don't even need a father. I don't need a husband. I don't need da 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 da. And they've been put in the bottom of the barrel when it comes to the respect that people accord fathers, the kind of, because people have so many disgruntled stories about their fathers either being deadbeat dads or being runaway fathers. I think the other day we spoke about, whose father was it?
You want to get milk.
He went to get
Abel Mutua.
cabbage. Baba ya Abel Mutua alienda kutengeneza cabbage molo, plant cabbage molo, and he never came back. He brought cabbages and warus. He said, let me go back. And then he never came back. So dads are getting a lot of bad representation from other fathers of that generation. But the fathers of this generation are doing such an amazing job. We have the likes of Tyler, who went so far as to put a tattoo of his kid's, was it foot, on himself, along with Georgina. Like, we've seen a lot of fathers coming out and speaking. Ted Josiah has been such a huge inspiration for many single fathers out here. There's so many beautiful father stories. Even Abel Mutua himself and his daughter Mombus, such beautiful stories between the young fathers now and fathers in the past. So I feel like I can even personally speak about someone who I've seen personally being a father, and it would be Liam's father. He has been so instrumental. Like, the beauty of seeing how Turi and Baba Liam are around each other, are around their child. It's such a beautiful story to actually see. We see others, like I've seen my brother as well, being such an impactful father from afar, but they're still working really, really hard. So, like, do you feel like the flack that fathers have gotten in the past is what is causing fathers to be afraid of being fathers and young men to be afraid of being fathers, or do you feel like there's something else?
I feel like the pressure to be better and the pressure to break those cycles that you've seen in the past, and it all comes with being in a generation where a lot of people are very self-aware. I'm very self-aware of my traumas and the problems I had going through, the way I felt about my relationship with my father, and also identifying that, hey, you're not supposed to treat me like that. That was a very toxic environment that I grew up in.
Yep.
And also giving their fathers grace and saying, I understand that you grew up in a certain time and in a certain way, and there are things you did that you felt were normal. You know how, like, in the past, like, dads always used to feel like their role in the family was only financial. And beyond finances, or everything else was noise. You know, you could never hang out with your dad. Your dad gets home, you all migrate to a different room. And I feel like dads these days either choose, or other young men these days either choose not to have children completely because they don't want to bring up a child in the environment they grew up in, or they don't trust that they can give a child a better environment, or they're just very scared. And some just want to do better and will wait for a very long time before they feel like they're ready to do better. Either way, it's a good choice, but at the same time, I feel like it's from a place of fear rather than from a place of healing. But you have to really commend, like, dads these days.
Yeah.
They're present, they're there, they're okay, they have healthy relationships with their sons, and that's usually like the scary part. How will this man act around his son? Because you've grown up in an environment where fathers and sons were always, it was always a very chaotic environment. So yeah, I feel like dads just these days should understand that the role of a dad is beyond finances. Be present. Go to your child's meeting, your child's sports days. Show up for your children. Take them to those games they want to go to. Hang out with them. Do bedtime stories. Don't be like that member of parliament who, came out and said that, the clear indicator of a good woman is how she can wash nappies and make them white. No, and this is what actually disgusted by that, because they're like, first of all, we change diapers all the time because they are our children. It's not just the role of the mother to do the cleanup and all the nasty stuff. This is also your child. So be more present physically and emotionally, than you are financially, is what we're saying.
Yeah, so you've knocked out 2 points, which is be scared, but do it anyway. Like, show up anyway. And you've also mentioned that your presence matters a lot more than money does matter.
True.
But the thing I love about fathers nowadays is their ability to just say the simple things, like, I love you. Like, when you see, you know how difficult, hey, do you know, I'll never forget a day when we were taking our dad. So my brother, myself, and a friend of ours, we were taking our, this was actually after the, after the funeral. Anyway, we were taking our dad to the airport after the passing of my mom and after that whole funeral procession. And you would think that because our mom is no longer there, our dad is going to step up and like be the man, you know, be the dad, be the caring and loving dad. And so as we were taking him to the airport to say goodbye, he said, sawa bye. He shook our hands, my brother's hand and my hand. He shook our hands. He said, all right, goodbye, I'll see you. And he disappeared. And to be entirely honest, I don't think we spoke to him for months after that. Like, he didn't reach out, check up on us. How are you guys doing? How are you feeling now? How is it happening? And I remember during that same period of time, we actually went hungry a few times with my brother because we didn't have the financial capacity to take care of ourselves. It was a very, like, really messed up situation to be in as a young adult, you know. And I felt so disheartened and so disgruntled about the fact that my dad, who was supposed to be showing my brother how to be a man, how to be a father, how to be a loving individual, was just nowhere to be seen. But now when I see my brother, every time they're on the phone with his daughter, he says, I love you, before the end of the conversation. It's like, I love you, and the daughter says, I love you too. And when she refuses to say it, he will say it again and again and again until she repeats it, I love you. And every time he's around, they hang out together. Like, the mom just puts her foot on break. Yeah, me relax. The father, take your child, endeni kwenye mnaenda. Kama ni malaps, mnapiga malaps, pigeni malaps. Do whatever you need to do with your dad. Me, I'm not part of it. I've taken care of you enough. Let him also take care of you. And those small things, like him giving the child hugs, you know, carrying the baby, he's carrying the diapers if he needs to carry diapers. Even if she needs to go pee, she will come to the dad. She's like, Daddy, I need to go susu. And the dad will actually take her to the toilet and take it. Do you know what I mean? It's that loving, cherishing, beautiful relationship that I see that he didn't get, but he has taken up his as a responsibility to make sure that his daughter doesn't feel that way. That, for me, the way they cherish each other, the way they love on each other is beautiful. The way that it's difficult even now for, you've seen the videos of young men calling their dads and saying, I love you. And the dad saying, okay, sawa, I'm gonga,
Sina pesa.
wacha hiyo, sina pesa. You know, it is so strange that it's impossible to tell your dad you love them, but you can tell literally anyone else. So I feel like it's important for fathers to realize that the love that you didn't get from your own, you can get from your own children. You can impact that love from, it will be like a healing journey for you, expressing love in a way that you didn't get it from your parents.
And also just the fulfillment you get and the confidence that you get when you accept responsibilities and you actually take care of your family. And let me tell you why it gives you confidence, because I remember there's this household when you were growing up where the man used to be very silent, very quiet. If his wife said jump, he would jump. If she said crawl, he would crawl. Why? He wasn't contributing anything to that household.
Oh, no.
Like, beyond just being there and being present and watching television, there's nothing else he used to do. And you could tell just the lack of respect that he was being accorded, because what you gonna do? What you gonna say? You know, like, even if he would say, hey, bring me something, the kids would say, I'll ask mom. You know, like, let me pass this through the woman of the house. So there's just a very huge fulfillment that you get when you're taking care of the responsibilities. There's just a respect that children will give you when you're actually showing up for them. There are things, like right now, if I was to tell my son, I'll tell dad, he would be shaking in his boots. Not because he's scared, but because that's my dad. What are you talking about? We don't mess with that man. And you kind of get it. But now imagine somebody who you have not seen for years. you know, he's your dad, yes, but you have not seen him for years. You go to your friend's social media, you see him popping bottles. If your mom was to tell you, you're not done your homework, I will tell your dad. What will this child do? You're like, okay, what's he going to do? Will he show up? That would be nice. It would be nice if you showed up. So I feel like having children, and not just having children, but being responsible for these children, it just gives you a sense of fulfillment. Nobody can tell you anything.
Absolutely.
No, there's just confidence. Walking around knowing that you pay school fees on time. No.
I got money like
Walking
that.
around knowing that your child has snacks
Yeah.
and he's not lacking. There's just a sense of fulfillment that you have as a human being.
Absolutely. And another very, very, very important thing as we're going home is being a father makes you a better person. And I think in this particular case, I will go back to the conversation I just told you about, my dad not being there for me. I feel like I got a friend who was because he was a dad, he understood where I was coming from. And he sat me down. And I was crying. I was always crying. I'm like, oh, my dad didn't buy me. My dad didn't do. My dad. And he sat me down and he asked me, Kathami, how many slices of bread is this that your father never gave you? How many sausages? Count for me. I will give you all these sausages. I will do all of these things for you because I understand where you're coming from. And I am trying to alleviate that pain of not having a father. And his name is Eddie. Shout out to you, Eddie, because Eddie really, really did become a better human being from being a father. From him being a dad, he understood that this is a young woman who doesn't have options, who doesn't know what to do with her life, and she needs my assistance. And he truly, in every way, embodied the empathy, the patience, just the gentle love and I don't know, holding of the hand. You know the way a dad will hold your hand and they will really lead you out of a really dark place. I think from him being a father, he was able to then help me as his friend and sort out a few of my many, many pains. And I got to actually learn that it's not simply because one man lets you down doesn't mean that all men let you down. And it's a beautiful thing to see that men who are fathers tend to have that ability, especially fathers now, tend to have that ability to just like hold your hand. Sometimes you don't need anything from your dad. You just need to see that he's okay. Like, hey dad, are you okay? Cool, cool, cool. Hey dad, are you coming home? Cool, cool, cool. Hey dad, have you watched? Cool, cool, cool. So I think this particular case, I'm going to give a big shout out to my friend Eddie for being an amazing friend, for showing me that simply because one person didn't do it, just because you were let down by one man doesn't mean that every single man in the world will let you down. It really does help when you have people patching you up together. And shout out to every single father out there. In case you have forgotten, it was Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to every single father out there. Happy Father's Day to you, Eddie. Love you with every bit of our hearts. Do you want to give a shout out to somebody?
Shout out to my baby daddy, okay?
There
Shout
we
out
go.
to you, and shout
Baba
out to my
Leo.
dad and all the men in my life. So I think we're gonna go home. We have a full weekend ahead of us. We need to
Ciao.
recharge. We
And
need to
get back
gather
to
our
Manda Manda.
strength. We need to hydrate. We need to stretch, because on Tuesday, you know where we're going to be at. We're going to be right where you expect us to be.